I guess no Musa was decided. Yeah, the Musa is to be on time, right? We got to the Mishnah, right? Nun Beis Amud Beis. Nun Beis Amud Beis, Mishnah, yes? Yeah, we there?
Yes, yes.
Avi Khan, it's good to see you, Avi Khan. Okay. Zog the Mishnah, yeah? A very interesting daf tonight, at least Amud Beis. Basically, we get into, again, in the sugi, we started a couple, maybe it was a week or two ago, about damaging somebody where there's nothing recognizable about the damage. Right? Oh, Zeb Bald, Mazel Tov. Zeb Bald got an anacle. Right? You made a Shom Zacher this week, yeah?
Mazel tov,
Should have a lot of nachas. Yeah. Okay. So Zog the Mishnah, Amatama, somebody who makes somebody, a guy goes over to his friend's fruits or vegetables and makes a tummy. Now that's nothing recognizable about the damage. It's not a visible damage. Amatama means if he mixed truma into somebody's chulin. Right now, because why? What's the loss? So it's truma, right? When you have a truma is bottle 1 in 100, not 1 in 60. It needs to have 1 in 100, right? Means 1% is, so then the whole thing becomes truma. So what's the damage? The damage is because now all you could do is it's only available for kehanim. So since it's only available for kehanim, it's going to be a whole lot cheaper because the kehanim know that there's not much of a market, not nearly as much of a market for truma as it is for regular chulin. So therefore it's not going to be a full damage, but it's going to be a major loss. Menasech is, now we're going to see in the Gemara what exactly this is, but basically nisach hayayin means if a guy does avodah zarah with somebody's wine.
Where are you?
Mishnah Nun Beis Amud Beis, bottom, right? So if you're menasech, so that's also a non-visible damage. So b'shoigig potter, if you do it by mistake, then you're potter. And b'meiz, meaning potter from paying. B'meiz, if you do it on purpose, then you're chayiv. Right? So this shita seems to be saying that a hezek, shein and nicker, is considered a hezek. So Zokti, Gemara Itma, we learn menasech rava, menasech mamash. What menasech means is that you mamash menasech, means you did avodah zarah with the person's wine. Shmuel says no. Ma'ariv, what it means is he took yayin nesech and mixed it in. Right? Meaning the guy had a cleaning lady in his house, and the cleaning lady poured the wine. So even though that's nowadays called stam yenam, but the wine becomes asa. And then he went and he mixed in that wine to somebody else's wine. Why? How come the one that says it's somewhere where you mixed in the wine, you didn't actually do avodah zarah? Why does he say that? Because Menasech, it's what we call Kamali B'Daramine, which I don't remember what the way they call it in the English. It's you give him you give him the more stronger of the punishments. He gets the stronger of the punishments. So since he's liable for damaging, but he's also chayiv misa, so therefore he only gets misa. He doesn't get the damages, which is a very interesting thing because normally, the way you look at common denominator is a guy does something, he's chayav malchus and he's chayav misa. So the thing is, you only give him misa, you don't get him malchus. But here, the guy who was damaged loses out. Right? If I'm the guy that got damaged, I said, what do I care if this guy's chayav misa? He damaged my stuff. Right? But still, you lose out. Right? Because since he's already getting punished for misa, then you lose out on your damages. So he says it can't be that you'd be chayiv if the guy actually is menasech avodah zarah because kam le'v'derami. B'idach to the Rav Yirmiyah, Damar Rav Yirmiyah, Mishas Hagbahu dekana. He goes. The other sheet that says it's not kam le'v'derami because when is he considered stealing the guy's wine? When he picks it up. When does the nisuch happen? When he pours it to the avodah zarah. It's 2 different times, right? So mishasak who the kana, that's when he's kained, then it's stolen. But he's not chayav nisa till the nisa. So therefore, according to this opinion, if the averas happened at two separate times, then we will punish him in two separate times. Meaning, if a guy does an avera that's in the same action, that's chayav a major punishment and a minor punishment, so we're only giving the major punishment because commonly they're not. But here he did two different ways. Meaning, if a guy eats treif in the morning and then eats treif, a different treif in the afternoon, of course he's going to get two punishments, right? It was two different stories. When we say commonly that's only when it's one story. Fine. The one who says that somewhere where he actually did avoid the zara, my time, how come he doesn't say that he mixed it? Amar Ma'ariv, on Tamar Aleph now, on the Nun Gimel Amar Aleph. Because mixing it, Hainu Madama, is the same thing as mixing, meaning we had already a case in the Mishnah. One of the cases in the Mishnah, it was three cases in the Mishnah. A guy makes somebody's fruits or vegetables tameh, or mixes in truma into chulin, or making nisach. So if you say that nisach means mixing in yayin nesach to regular yayin, that's the same case as madama. So why would you need two of the same cases? Ve'idach, knasahu, and this is what most of the daf is going to focus on. Knasahu umiknasa lo yafina. That's a knas, right? Right. This why are you paying these damages? It's a hezek she'ein nicker, right? You can't. It's not a recognizable damage. Right? So it's a knas. We can't learn anything out of a knas. Meaning the only reason why we have to pay is because he has a knas. So therefore, we say we don't learn out from a knas. But there is a sheet that says you can learn something out from knas. Kol hani lamali. Why do we need all these cases in the Mishnah? Meaning, in all these three cases, the damage is not visible. And we're going to say that it's a knas. So if you say that it's not a knas, so then you understand the three different cases. But if it's all knas, and we're saying that, you get a knas, you're potter, so then a knas you chayv, so why do we need all three cases? So what it says, tzricha d'itana matama, if we learn matama, eat truma, if it was just truma, if the itana matama, eat truma hava, if you're going to say that it's truma hava, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. Now let me. Sorry. Tzricha again. The itana matama. If you're going to just say the word matama, so eat truma. So if we're talking about truma, hava mishum become mafsid le'legamri. You're making it. If you make something truma that's tameh, then that's a total loss. Right? It's a total loss. So then, because what are you going to do with tameh truma? Even
you can use it for fuel. You can't use it for fuel. The kohen can't burn with it.
Yeah, but it's almost a full loss. You're right. He could feed it to his animals, right?
Yeah.
Right? Can he feed it? He could feed it to his animals.
Can you sell it to a guy?
Truma.
Can you sell it to a guy?
I have to do so.
The kasha is going to be paid it. Right? I think that's what it would be.
Doesn't it have a din? If it has a din like truma, so then they have to give it to a kohen.
Tamei truma. Tamei truma. Right? Anyways, okay, so whatever it is, it's almost a wipeout. Even though you're right, Yoni. It's what do you call it? Rashi's clearly bothered by your question because it says the loy chazi sula achila. So it's a wipeout from eating. But it sounds like financially it's not a full wipeout. That's what you can be medayek from Rashi, like you're saying. Fine. Never talking about making chulin tamei mishum da also ligram tuma lechulin Eretz Yisrael. That's only because it's also to cause tuma to chulin in Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because we're afraid if you're going to cause tuma to chulin in Eretz Yisrael, it might end up making people who keep tahara in Eretz Yisrael tamei al medama. But if it's just a mixture, maybe not. Maybe we're not going to make a knas for that reason. Fine. Well, madama is more common, right? Now, what does that mean? Because it's it's hard to understand this, but if you want to get at your friend, so what are you going to do? You drop some truma into his mixture. Now he's stuck, right? And Rashi said, the Gemara seems to be saying that was a common way of getting at your friend. How's that for some revenge? Right? Oh, you better watch out. I'm going to drop some truma into your food, and then you're done. It's interesting. It's saying that's a more common. What?
A Kohen does it.
Can't hear you. What do you say?
If a Kohen does it first time.
A Kohen probably has an easier time doing it, but it sounds like a Kohen really gained from that, right? Yeah. Matama the but to be matama somebody's things, that's already not common.
He gains, but he doesn't gain a friend.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So aim aloi. So maybe not. Right? So fine. So was that finished. Matama, and if it would have just said matama mishum, the like kimle b'deravimine. There's no kimle b'deravimine there. Because there's no other, what's the punishment? All you did was drop, tuma things into a thing, avol, into his food. So maybe not Kamash Milan, because Rabbi Yirmiyah. So that's what we're saying. That was like Rabbi Yirmiyah, that the stealing happened before the Nisach Hayayin. Fine. Okay, so that's why we needed 3 cases to teach you basically the same din, which is that damage that's not visible is still considered a damage. Fine. So the Gemara asks, first they learned in a brisa to be matama and manasach. Chazru loymar, they went back and said, af hamedama, even somebody who mixes, kol hani lamali, why do we need this for? So it says tzricha, no, at the beginning, because according to him, right, the first the Mishnah teaches the 2 bigger chidushim, which is matama and manasach, right? Then what matama is less of a chidush. So now what do you need it? So he says tzricha diashmin matama mishum b'loikim lebedramine. Stop making something's tamei, somebody's things tamei. That's kamle b'dramine. Ava manasach to kimle b'dramine, but manasach, which is kimle b'dramine, aim aloi. I would say not. Diashmin manasach mishum become mafsele legamri. Manasach, you're telling a total. That's a total loss, right? Because that's also bahanot, away the zara. Right, so Yoni, right? That's a good horror, because here it says the same lashon as before, masul and the gamri, and here it means a total loss. You can't even sell it. You have to destroy it. Right. So then aim aloi. Right. So I would say not. Yes, minan hani tarti mishum tehefsid meruba. These are a major loss. Right. Nesach mean manasach wine, or causing the truma to become tameh. That's almost a full wipeout. Right. Al madama the hefsid mu'it, but a mixture is a hefsid mu'it, right? Because why? Now I don't know why it's calling it a hefsid mu'it, because mastama the kahanim are going to buy it for a major discount. So it's not going to be it's not a hefsid mu'it. I don't know how you define hefsid mu'it, hefsid meruba. I mean that's a big total in the price.
The other 2. It's mu'it. Look out for the other 2 in comparison.
Sure, you're right. It's I guess I'm not so sure. I mean, how many kahanim are buying fruits and vegetables anyways? They're getting it for free from everybody, right? I guess an unpopular kohen will maybe buy it. Right? Right.
Yaakov, you're such a mindik, it's ridiculous.
There you go.
You're getting something for free. Why should I go buy it?
100%. 100%. What I tell you, can't get it out. Right?
Unbelievable. Uncle Tevi's smiling somewhere.
That's right. Madama, the hefsid mu'it, but madama mixtures only hefsid mu'it, right? Like we just said, because you could sell it to kahanim. Aim aloi, so I would say that you're not going to be chayiv, tzricha. That's why you need all the cases. Fine. So that's the cases in the Mishnah. That's why we need it. Fine. Now we get into this interesting machlok. So Amar Chizkiah, Tvar Torah, right? Minat Torah, echad shoygig ve'echad meizid chayiv. When somebody damages somebody with a damage that's not recognizable, right? Like our cases. Whether you're b'shoygig, whether you're mazid, you're chayiv. My taima, hezek shein and nicker, shmei hezek. because a hezek that's not recognizable is considered hezek. It's no different than any other damage. If you take somebody's cholent and you spill it out on the floor, you're going to have to pay for it. So if you take somebody's cholent and you make it tameh, you're going to have to pay for it too. So if that's the case, so why are you potter for shaygig? We know that everybody's you're chayiv. If you damage somebody's things by mistake, you're still chayiv. So why are we saying that a shaygig is potter by unrecognizable damage? Kidei shayidiyu. A very interesting thing, because if we're gonna make the guy a shaygig is gonna be chayiv, he's never gonna tell the guy that it was him that did it, right? Why if you did it by mistake, why would you, and you're going to be chayiv for it, so why would you let the guy know? Why would you let the guy know? He's going to make you be chayiv, which is very interesting because it sounds like, what are we talking about here? What type of people are we talking?
Maybe he's an erlich shaygig.
Right, so
And maybe he's an erlich yid, and he would do it, and he would tell the guy, correct.
That's what I'm right. Exactly.
But I guess it's not so common.
That's the sad, I don't know, the sad part, the hard part to understand of tonight's stuff, right? That,
It's also against the deraisa. The deraisa is chayiv. Adam would la'ilam is midiraisa. It's shagi ben mezi ben onis ben ratzin, ben er ben yashin. It's all drushes.
correct, but the point is that we're afraid that this guy's not so erlich. That's what the island's timing.
Meaning
Right.
we're going to end up eating something nesach or tameh because he's too scared to tell us because he's worried about reimbursing. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So he's not right. And since it was a shaygig, so I guess the guy won't know. The guy won't know who did it. I'm saying I don't know. See, look at the next line. If you're telling me that the guy's not gonna want to admit it if you're gonna make him pay, so then if he does it on purpose, he's not gonna want to make him pay either. He's not gonna want to make him pay either. Right? I mean, why would he pay if he's amazed? Right? Meaning, we're talking about a guy who's sitting in a restaurant, let's say, right? He's eating his food. Then you walk by with your little truma and you trip and it falls into his soup, let's say. Right? Now, you got two choices. You could tell him or you cannot tell him. Right? So the Mishnah, the Gemara says, so if you're a shaygig, we got to say you're potter because otherwise you're not going to tell him. And the guy's going to be eating truma. The Yisrael is going to be eating truma or truma tamei or whatever the case may be. Right? So the Gemara says, okay. So if you did it on purpose, you're also not going to tell him, and he's going to end up doing it. That's right. And this answer in the psychology of what was going on there is if you're trying to damage the guy, you're not going to tell him. Of course, you're going to tell him. You got to let what sounds like it's not enough just to damage the guy.
You want your hana that he knows that you did it.
Exactly. You got to let him know, right? Isn't this the way they catch half the crooks? Because they secretly want to let somebody know that they did it. Like if you can go damaging people, if they don't know who did it, it's like you're losing out on the cover.
It's no fun, exactly. It's a special hana.
It's like getting called up for an aliyah when they give you out those things by the yekis without nobody calls your name and they just give you the paper and you walk up there, right? What kind of covet is that? Right? So there's no covet in there. You got to make sure you tell the guy that you damaged him. It's a fascinating thing. It's a fascinating thing. So b'shoigeg you don't have that taiva. B'shoigeg you don't have that taiva. But amazing you have that taiva. So therefore you're okay. To whatever. Therefore we could be mechayev you, and that's the pella. You're going to end up being chayev to pay. A guy is willing to actually have to pay for the damage as long as the guy knows that I damaged him. It's almost counterintuitive because then you didn't damage him, and then because now you're on the hook, right? But I guess you still caused the guy pain. I don't know. You wonder that we're getting into this week, Bez Hashem, we're getting into all the Churban Gemaras. You wonder why there was a Churban. They say Sinas Chinam. Well, go back 3 blocks and then see what was going on over here.
So what's to stop a guy from saying sorry? I did it b'shoigeg.
That's true. That's a good point.
I don't want to give Aaron any ideas, but
No, because you don't get that hana. If you did it by accident, you don't get the hana.
No, I
did
get
it,
that.
you
No,
know,
I
on
messed up
purpose.
your dinner. I messed
No,
up
but
your
that's
dinner.
the thing. That's
Yeah,
right, but
Yoni,
that's the thing. It's-
Yoni, I'm on to you, Yoni. I'm on to you. Don't worry.
It's a good thing you're going after straw.
Listen, you're right,
Ah.
but that's no. David's saying good. You're still losing the hana that the guy doesn't know that you purposely damaged him. It's
I
a
get
pella. It's a pella. Like that's like so much of the hana that the guy should know that it's you. Like you leave a calling card, like all these, these mass murderers, whatever they call them. They
Right.
always leave a simon because they gotta know. If you don't know it's me, then there's no gishmak. It's weird. It's
Right.
weird. It's strange. It's strange. But anyways, fine. So that's
I
the
was going
first.
to ask. They might have
Yeah.
answered it already. He's amazed in what? He's amazed in the hezek, or he's amazed in making the guy eat isser? If he wants to make the guy eat isser, then he won't tell him. The Gemara is taking it for granted that this mazid is in the hezek. He deliberately damaged him. He was deliberately matame his food. But if someone wanted to make a kohen eat isser, then go be matame his truma and don't tell him. That's a far bigger hezek if he really wants to.
Well, is it a far bigger? Maybe it doesn't make a
That's
difference.
the
as long as
thing.
he's
He
damaged.
wants the guy to know. That's the
I
mazid.
hear. I hear.
Shtikla chizuk. It's very hard to do an Aveira b'mezid if this is the point of b'mezid. The whole point of b'mezid and an Aveira would be, I want the Abishter to know I'm mad at him.
Now you're ready. Don't get the
This is,
Eibishter
I'm not, no
involved with
one's doing that. No one's
Let's
doing
leave the
that.
Eibishter
There's no
out of this
mazid
one.
today. No, I'm saying that's what this Gemara is saying. There is no such thing as mazid today.
I don't know if I hear that. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, that's Chizkiya's shot. Rav Yochanan Amar Dvar Torah says the opposite. Dvar Torah Mina Torah Echad Shoygig Echad Mezid Potter. If you're a Shoygig or a Mezid, you're Potter. My timer. Hezek Shein and Nicker Loishme Hezek. A damage that's not recognizable is not a damage, right? And you're Potter, right? Umatam Amar B'Mezid Chayiv. Okay, so now why are you saying that if you did it on purpose, you dropped the truma in there or the tum in there, why you chayiv? Again, another wonderful set of people, right? Because if we're going to make you potter, even on chasanen, you're just going to go. You've ticked off at your friend. You're just going to drop some truma into his food, and then he's done, right? I'm a potter ani, and he's going to say that I'm potter, right? I'm sorry, he's going to say, but I'm a.
So you're not going to let anybody walk into your house, and you're never going to go to a restaurant because you can never go anywhere. You have to be sure no one touches your food.
Well, you could hopefully invite people that are menschlich, but yeah, it's like those kids. You know what is interesting? You know those kids. It comes up in camp every once in a while. A kid is eating food, and another kid wants some. So you know what he does? He makes a bracha. And then he says, no, I'm gonna make a bracha of a you don't give me a piece. Right? You ever heard of these guys? Right? So is he b'chuyev too? I don't think he's b'chuyev too. Right? But whatever. As interesting shayla I saw today from Rabbi Yashiv. If a guy, his mamash was fascinating. I don't know why I saw that. It has to do with today's daf. A guy wants a sheva brachas. He runs up under the chuppah and he makes a bracha. Shakol baruch l'chvayda. No, is that a stolen bracha? The bracha counts, or you make another one?
Definitely have to give him the next one. Asher Yatzeh.
Very good, very good. So they asked Rabbi Yashiv. They thought maybe it's a stolen bracha, right? It's a hezek sheni nicker. Maybe it is nicker. I don't know. Rabbi Yashiv says no, it's a bracha. It counts. It counts. I don't know if you want a bracha from a guy like that, but yeah, you got all these weird situations. Fine. So that's the machlokes of Yochanan and Chizki. Fine. Now the Gemara goes through a bunch of kashas, right?
Sorry, it took me a minute to mute. Why did he say it's a good bracha? Why is it not stolen?
Because he said a guy makes a bracha. He made a bracha. He gave a chasna.
Yeah, but he stole
a
a key. But he
stole. He didn't
So
steal
according to
anything.
that, you have to give the guy the food.
What?
According to that, you have to give the guy the food if he makes the bracha on your food.
No, here he's just giving a bracha to the chassan kala. There's nothing. It's
a
done.
Birchas
It's done.
Shvach. The
Right.
Shvach was given to the Eibishter. Birchas Amen, and he made a bracha levatali. You definitely don't have to give him anything. Even if you gave him, he'd probably have to make a new bracha.
Well, because
He
you
had no
didn't know
right to
whether
make the
it
bracha in the
was
first place. It was Gezela.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's a little different case. Correct. Correct. But anyways, okay. So now they're going to ask a few kashas on the shita that says that hezek she'ein nicker is considered hezek. Yeah. HaKahanim should. Here's another interesting one where kahanim are erluch and they're not erluch. A kahanim should paglu b'mikdash. So a pigel, we know what pigel is. So the kayin, I don't know, these kahanim are shady in tonight's stuff, I have to say. It's no offense, Aaron, but I'm just saying the kahanim. So you got this kayin. Now we know
In
that
tonight's stuff, not on tonight's stuff.
Yeah, that very good.
Jacob, I'm happy you just said about just tonight. We're okay. We can take one bad night.
Okay, that's true. Listen, I was bad on Friday, so my
true.
stuff was Friday. You ain't gonna get
got
as
the
bad
heat
as
on
me
Friday,
on Friday. Yeah. You're not coming close to me on Friday. But
Jacob, by the way, I told Tati to Maisa, he told me that your father was so excited when he had Apple. You know, to pour a little salt on that wound. He said Moshe Dayan was like flying high about Apple. He was convinced Apple would be the biggest thing ever.
Well, he was right. He was right.
I said to him, I said, I'm just curious, how come you didn't buy any shares of Apple?
There you go. Yeah. He's in the same boat as me.
You're right.
Anyways, so pigel is where the kayan has to have the right kavanas. We're not saying kavanas, yud ke vav ke and all that stuff. He has to make sure that he doesn't have in mind that he's going to eat the carbon outside of the proper time, and that he's going to shecht it in the proper place, etc. So if he has in his head that he's not going to do that, then the carbon is puzzle, even if he ends up keeping it kosher. That's called pigel. So
a pigel is only chutzlas mano.
Well, it's really chutzlas
pigel is only chutzlas mano machshavas. If he has chutzlas mano and chutzlas,
it's a different level pigel.
Then it becomes puzzle. It doesn't become
right,
pigel is only if he did everything kibbutz then except he had one of the avodas chutzlas mano, then it's pigel.
Correct. Chutzlas mano is pigel, but chutz l'makam is also puzzle, but it's not pigel. Correct.
Right, but it'll trump pigel. If he had in mind both things, chutz and chayma and chutzlas mano, it's going to be puzzle.
Still going to be puzzle. Correct. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that correction. But so bottom line is, you have no idea what the kayan's kavanas are. You get this kayan to take care of your animal and base mix. You have no idea if this kayan is ticked off at his friend, he could just shecht it and have in mind that he's going to eat it chutzlas mano, and that's going to be end of that carbon, right? So mazidin chayavin. If the kayan did it on purpose, so he's chayav to pay for the animal, right? V'tani alam, we learn mipnei tikkun olam. Why? Because tikkun olam, right? Meaning, what's tikkun olam? If you don't make the kayan chayav to pay for the animal, the kahanim are going to do this, whenever they want, which they can't. We can't have them doing that.
The Kohen, as no one knows he has these thoughts except the Kohen, correct?
Correct. That's what exactly we're going to get into. So therefore, we're going to make him chayav, meaning he's erluch enough to admit that he did pigel, but he's not erluch to not do the pigel, right? He'll do the pigel, and he's erluch enough to admit it, but he's not erluch enough to not do the pigel.
That's bias Shani.
That's what I'm saying. V'yamer hezek sheni nikar shmei hezek, and if you say that it's considered hezek, high shaygig and peturin mipnei tikkun olam iboile. So the Gemara should have said, if you do it b'shaygig, you're potter, right? They should be there because mipnei tikkun olam, right? Why? Like we said before, that they're never going to admit it. Meaning, if you're going to make the guy chayiv, if he does it b'shaygig, right? Why would he ever tell the owner about it? He wasn't yaitz, right? Elamai, it doesn't say that, so it must be that hezek she'ena nikar is not shmei hezek. Well, it says no hachanami kamim zidin chayiv. What the brisa means is, if the kohen does it b'mezid, he's chayiv. Hashaygigin Peturin, but if he does it by mistake, he's gonna be potter. Why? Because of Tikkun Olam. Because if you're gonna make him chayiv, he's never gonna tell the guy. Right? So therefore, that's how we're gonna answer. That's when I answer the question. Fine. Next, Maser Rebbe Lazar. So we know that the mechatos, the water for the carbon, for the para aduma. So they take the ashes, they mix it together with the water. So nothing can be done with the water. No mundane work can be done with the water, and no mundane work can be done with the para aduma either. Right? But let's say somebody did do work with the mechatos and the paras chatos. So he's potter medina adam. Now he just killed the whole para aduma. Literally or figuratively, but whichever one it is, they're waiting to get this paraduma, and this guy lets it on his way up to Yerushalayim. Let's say he plows a field with it, so now he just knocked off the whole paraduma. But there's nothing recognizable what's wrong with the paraduma, right? So that's a hezek she'enoi nicker. It's an unrecognizable damage. So we're saying he's potter medina adam.
What is the hezek?
You can't use the paraduma anymore.
Well, technically, it's his.
What? No, I don't know who did the work with it.
The owner, presumably.
Why? It could be anybody. Could have been the shliach.
It's just an interesting one.
It's putter for a chata. Putter for the paraduma. No, he's not liable. He just can't be used anymore.
What do you mean? He's saying he's potter medine adam, right? Well, we're saying that he's potter, right? But he's chayiv in dine shemayim, right?
What does that mean, chayiv in dine shemayim? What is he chayiv? Who does he pay? How does he pay?
If he doesn't pay,
He doesn't
pay the damage.
What's the value of a paraduma?
It's a lot of money.
That's the value of the paraduma? That's what we're talking about? We're talking about billions of dollars you're going to be mechayiv. Because of all the hundreds of thousands of tomatoes it could have been mechayiv.
Yes, I would think so.
That's not a value.
Okay, what should I tell you? What else?
I don't know.
He's potter from Dina.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, and I'm answering that that's what it must be.
But this is a case it's known or it's not known. Where it's not known. We're talking about a case where it's not known.
What do you mean? What's not known?
That he did work with the water or the paraduma.
Well, he's going to have to admit it, right? That's what I think. That's part of the whole thing.
It's ain't no nicker, but the guy, obviously, we find out that he did it.
Well, either way, it's still ain't a nicker. It's still ain't a nicker, right? Still going to be ain't a nicker all the way around. It's ain't a nicker. There's nothing wrong with this animal. You could go shech this animal, and you could shech it as a regular para, whatever. You could or eat with it or eat the meat. It's only the spiritual damage.
But
right?
you were saying its monetary value was also less now, correct?
Sure, it's way less. That's the damage that he did, I think. Right?
It was worth $1 million
sense.
yesterday. It was worth $1 million yesterday because the Gizbar was willing to pay $1 million for it. And he got to the door of the base and make this and says, "Look, my kid was riding on the horse for 10 minutes. Sorry, so now it's not worth $1 million anymore. It's a regular $100 par. So that's a big loss. I was going to give you $1 million for it. Now I'm not going to give you $1 million for it. When we saw the Paraduma the first time, it was in good shape. It's fine. Now that you got it here. It's not $1 million par now. It's not even par for the course.
I thought that was a great line.
Yeah, whatever it is, I don't know what the damage is. You're right. It's a big damage. Either way, so he's part of Medina Adam, Chaim Medina Shemaim. Be Amrit Hezek Sheni Nikar Shmei Hezek, and if you say that it's considered damages, Medina Adam Namin Chaim, it should be Chaim Medina Adam too. Right? Must be that he's not chayiv. So who Ma'aseh who Mefarak, he asked the question, he answered. Para Sheikh Nisa the Ravaka. We're talking about a para that he brought it into a Ravaka, like a corral or a barn, I mean, a place that they tie them up. Yeah, Almanash Shatinik, he brought it in there so that it should nurse from its mother. Vitadush, and not only that, but he also wanted it to, there was grain inside this corral, and he wanted it to do two things. He wanted to go nurse from its mother. He also wanted it to walk over the grains. Dush is one of the lamates malachas. He wanted to step on it, the grain, so it separates, which it's not. So nursing, it's allowed to do. Dush, it's not allowed to do because that's malacha. So he wanted to do both things, right? So mecha, and then that's what was talking about with the animal. And mechatas sheshakol ben mishkalos. And the mechatas, what was he doing with one malacha? Was the guy doing with the water that's going to be mixed in? He was using it as a scale, a counterweight on a scale, right? So, so memela, it's really dependent on what his kavanah was. To put the animal into corral, what's wrong with that? Nothing. His kavanah was that the animal should also do dush, right? And he just to put water on a scale. What's the big deal? Right? That's not doing malacha. But if his kavanah was to use it as a counterweight, then it becomes malacha.
So if he didn't have kavanah for it to thresh, and it by going to drink from the mother, it ended up threshing, it's not an issue, or it's still also to be.
It is an issue. It's an issue. It's an issue. No, very good. So it's an issue of the chatos. It's not an issue of damages because it's what we call grama. One of the most difficult things to understand in the damages. If you only do a grama, you're potter. Grama b'nizakin is potter. So here, you didn't cause it. If you forced it to thresh, then you did a direct damage. Here you didn't. It was going into nurse. It happens to be you wanted it, and you're very happy that it did dush, right? You were using this counterweight as you were using the water on the scale. When you put it on there, there was nothing wrong with it. Now, when you weighed something else, then it was that's when the damage happened. So that's what we call a grama, and therefore in regular damages you're potter, but you're gonna be chayim in dinei shamayim, right? Telling where it says v'amar rava mechatos antam beis now sheshaka behen mishkalo is kshera. We said it's kosher to weigh, to use it as a weight. It's kosher. So my answer is like kasha habikufa and habikenegda. One is talking about when you're actually using the water to measure. How do you use water to measure? So that's what we call displacement. That's what gets into how do you find out how much. The most common case that people try to figure out is how much is a kizayis of matzah based on a revius. So what you do is you fill up a cup, then you take a kizayis of matzah, you drop it into the water, and whatever water spills out, we say it's displaced by the size of the matzah. Whatever it is, that's basically what he's doing. So he's actually using the water to measure. Mashenkin, if you're just using it as a counterweight, that's not really called malacha, because what exactly are you doing with the water? Nothing. So when I asked Bekufan Maisa Ka'avid, who Bekufan, he did do a Maisa. He has a Shani Nikrish May Hezek, but Dine Adam Nami L'chayiv, but Dine Adam he should also be B'chayiv. You are doing a malacha. Right? So we want to change the pshat. They're both talking about we're using it as a counterweight. Like kasha hota asav daite. One is where he was masiach das, meaning so using it as a counterweight is not called doing anything with the water. All you did was put it on a scale. But if you masiach das from it, because it needs shmira, this water needs shmira, right? To make sure that nobody used it. But if you put it on the scale, then you start being busy with whatever was weighed, etc., then you masiyah das from it. Hadaloy asav that in one of somewhere where you were not masiyah das, so therefore it's still kosher. Fine. So Masir Rapapa had a kasha, right? Now we're going to ask kashas on the mandoma that says damage that's not recognizable is damage. So Gazel matpeya, but if so, if a guy stole a coin and then the malchus said, okay, this coin is no longer in circulation. Truma v'nitmes. He stole somebody's truma and then it became tame. chametz v'avar a Pesach, or if he stole chametz and then he never sold it, right? And then it went through Pesach. So all these things he caused damage. So he tells the guy, listen, here's your stuff, right? I can't. What?
Yeah.
That's some kasha there, Rachamim.
Yeah, it's like a grocery store. The grocery store had all this matzah, all this tavua matzah, and whatnot. And Pesach finished. He says, it didn't sell. I send it back. Send it back.
That's essentially what happened here.
Yeah.
But he has to pay him back. See, Rashi says, basically what he says is, I stole this thing from you. It became tamei. Here it's back. Here you have it back. So he gave it back, right? So Rashi says, as long as he has to pay back, he has to give it back. He has to give him back the coin, right? So, but we're saying that he doesn't have to pay anything more than that. Again, a guy steals money from you, then the government takes that money out of circulation. So you give back the guy the money, right? You give back the guy the money, and he says, the guy tells him it's not worth anything. He said, what should I tell you? This is what I stole, right? If it would became out of circulation in your property, it also would be no good, right? So whatever. So you see that he's not mechuyev to pay. So the Gemara says, and if you say that damage is not recognizable, is considered damage. Hi Gazlan, who he's a Gazlan. He should have to pay back, right? What's it help that he gives back something that was tamei? You're the one that was responsible for it. So Gemara says tiyufta, so we slug it up, and therefore we're going to hold that hezek sheini nikr is not considered a damage. So now Gemara says let's say it's machlokes tanaim. Now this is a variation of our Mishnah. If you cause somebody's thing to become tamei, or you mix in truma, or you menasich echad shaygig v'echad meizid chayiv, whether it's a shaygig, whether it's a meizid, it's chayiv. Divi Rameh. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer b'shaygig potter b'meizid chayiv. B'shaygig it's potter b'meizid chayiv. My lab al kamifli. Meaning, so clearly I'm going to machlok is whether you chayiv or not. The Marsava hezek sheni nikr shmei hezek. One says a hekar sheni nikr hezek. The Marsava lo shmei hezek. The other one says not. One answers Amar Nachman Yitzchok the Kuli Alma hezek sheni nikr lo shmei hezek. Like we just said, damage that's not recognizable is not damage. Our whole machlok is whether we give a knas of a shoygeg because you may come to do it on purpose. What does that mean? The Marsavar, right? Knas shoygeg atumezid. We're going to give a knas of a shoygeg because shoygeg atumezid, because if the guy messes it up, and you're going to say that, but shoygeg it's potter, so he's going to say, I did it by mistake. Right, so therefore we give him a knas, and we say that it's a problem. The other one says, no, we don't do a knas of a shoygeg atumezid. So this is a whole long sugya. So again, machlokes here is between Rameh and Rabbi Yehuda whether we give a knas of a shoygeg atumezid. This will get a little clearer. Let's see the next case. We're going to ask a steer from Rameh onto Rameh and from Rabbi Yehuda onto Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya. Let's say a guy cooks on Shabbos. Obviously, we're talking about a yid. B'shaygeg, yoichal. If he did it b'shaygeg, he could eat it, right, on Shabbos. B'mezid, lo yoichal. He does it on purpose. He can't eat it, but other people can eat it, right? Unfortunately, this comes up a lot with people who have family who are not frum. They come in and they turn on the lights. Can somebody else benefit from it or not? And they do it on purpose, right? So can you not? So the first sheet here says if somebody cooks on Shabbos, so if it was done by mistake,
they're doing it on purpose to turn on the light, but they're not doing it on purpose to be machal Shabbos.
Well, why not?
Because they're not from. You just said they don't even know. They don't even care. They don't know.
True, but it doesn't make a difference. It's malacha from a yid on Shabbos. They may not be chayiv, but it's it's a good point. Tinik shenishpa, etc., etc. But the bottom line is does it work for somebody else? So the first sheet to here, Rameir,
Why do they consider the shogig?
they're not shaygig. Well, they could be. They would be shaygig if you say Omer Mutter.
You're not being making. They're not over and aware because the Tinnik Shanishba, right? So why aren't you saying they're shogig there?
Because it's done b'mezid. The shaila is there's a concept of
The
Omer
maze is
Mutter.
if you mean to do it to spite the Rabbanishon. They don't
No,
really.
no. That's maybe to make you and not be kairos. That's to make you not be kairos. But it's still called amazing. Whether you have to kill the guy, whether you mechuyev to
Why
kill
is
the guy.
that? Why is that person
Getting
chayiv?
off the, you're getting off the subject.
He is chayiv.
If he's a Tinnik Shanishba?
If he's a tinik shenishba, so you could say he doesn't know anything. So memela.
He's a shoygig.
So it's not clear that that's a shoygig. It's not clear that it's a shoygig. But that does play into it if he's taka tinik shenishba. Thing is, if he has a frum kid in his house, then it's very hard to say that he's a tinik shenishba. Right? Because he knows. Just doesn't believe. Right? Whatever it is, there's a major machlokes here. So the first sheet is saying if you cook on Shabbos, if you did it by mistake, you're allowed to eat it. But if you do it on purpose, you can't eat it. Other people can. On Shaygig, you could eat it yourself, but you have to wait Motzei Shabbos. Right? And if you did it on purpose, you're never allowed to benefit from it. Now, but other people can. Yeah, that's where you get into the whole act with the train that was in Eretz Yisrael was being built on Shabbos. So people want to tell you can't use it because it's being made on your behalf on Shabbos. It was made on Shabbos, whatever it is. Okay, so that's Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. I'm b'shaygig yochel Motzei Shabbos. On shaygig you could eat it Motzei Shabbos lacherim, but loy. He's the most strict. The mezid loy yochel elamis, and b'mezid you can't eat it forever. Loy, not him, but loy lacherim. Now,
what about waiting the amount of time? What about the thing of waiting the amount of time after Shabbos that it would take to make it?
No, Rabbi Yochanan Sandler doesn't go with that at all.
Does anyone here go according to that?
Yeah. Rashi says you have to wait that amount of time.
Oh, you would have to wait that amount of time. Okay.
Yeah. But even though the Mishnah Berurah says that the waiting the amount of time only has to do with a guy, does not have to do with a yid. But that's a whole different shmooze. But anyways, so this is all a knas, right? Why are you not allowed to eat it? Because the malacha was done on Shabbos. No, so what? So it's a knas. So you see, Kasha Rameir, Kasha Yuda, because Rameir is saying that in this case, Rameir is saying that you're not going to make a gzeir shoyga to mezid. And before we said he did it, Kasha Yuda. So the Rameir like Kasha kikonis b'derabbanon. When did they make a knas? They made a knas on the derabbanon because people don't treat rabbanons with the same seriousness as the deraisas. So, but deraisa like Kanis was saying, the deraisa he didn't make a knas because we don't need to put up boundaries for deraisas. People don't do deraisas, right? The Gemara says, "Well, manasich deraisa huva kakanis." Being manasich yayin tovay dezara is a deraisa and it's a knas. Mishum chumra davay kachavim knas lei, because of the chumra davay kachavim, it's a knas, right? Because meaning really it's a deraisa, it doesn't require a knas. But we're saying that they're going to make a knas shaygi got to mezid because of the chumra v'dizar. Okay, the Yehuda like kasha kilo kanas. When was there no knas b'darabanan? He says the opposite. B'daraisa kanas. But when for the daraisa is karas, right? Meaning what's a pshat here? Here he's saying the opposite. A darabanan. Okay, yoivar on a darabanan. Okay, no, right. But if you're over on a deraisa, then we have to give you a knas. So Gemara asks also, but manasach deraisa v'loy konas. Manasach is deraisa. Rabbi Yehuda didn't make a knas. So Gemara answers, because of the chumrah avodah zara, people naturally separate from doing avodah zara. So therefore, we don't have to make a knas if somebody does avodah zarah, manasach yayin, b'shoigeg, we have to make a knas that we answer it, to mezid. Right? So yeah, so basically, basically that's what we're saying, that according to Rav Meir, the Rabbanon needs a knas, and the Raisa does not need a knas. According to Yehuda, the Raisa doesn't need a knas. The Raisa needs a knas. The Rabbanon is because it's so light, then it doesn't need a knas. The way we paskin, the Shulchan Aruch paskins lechumra is here, but the Gra paskins lekula. And the Mishabura says you can be samech on the Gra lekula. But there's the Mishabura brings a prima gadam that says if whatever was done on Shabbos is a machlokes, and there's a legitimate shita that would allow this thing to be done on Shabbos, even though we don't paskin like it, then it becomes mutter on Shabbos right away. Right? So let's say if somebody by mistake takes food out of the refrigerator, puts it onto the hot plate. It's a major, sometimes people forget. They take food out of the fridge Shabbos morning and they put it onto the blech, which you're not allowed to do, right? But there are shittas that say, especially if the food was on the blech Friday night and then it was put into the fridge, there are many legitimate shittas that say you're allowed to do that. And even though at least Ashkenazim don't paskin that way, but if a guy did it by mistake, it's not going to answer the food. And this comes up a lot because unfortunately, by the people that are not well known, were not well learned, and there's lots of them, they think that the food is that you have a blech, you can do whatever you want. So people go say, I'm going to somebody's house, and then I see them Shabbos morning take food out of the fridge and put it right on the blech. Right now, that's a Ma'aseh Shabbos on the Derabanan, right? Which is a different question whether that answers it. But the bottom line is the Ma'aseh Shabbos. 1 second. So if as long as the sheet is a hold that it's mutter, so then we would be b'diavad, we would matter it, which there are sheetas that say that it's mutter. Anyways, we'll stop over here for those that want to log off. We're going to continue the sugi tomorrow, Bez Hashem.
Quick question. If I go to somebody, they have their hot plate on a timer. It shuts off Friday night, and then they put the food on when it's off, and then it turns back on after the food is already back on at Shabbos morning. That's also still just b'diavad. Better I shouldn't go there.
It's mutter, but the post can say not to do it.
You'll have a good malava malka.
No, there.
Thank you.
What do you call it? In Me'ikar Adin, it's mutter, but the post can say not to do it. Many posts can say not to do it. Right, because it looks like you're turning on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Marasayan.
Who's in Marasayan? Nobody sees. Who's there?
What?
There's nobody there to see for it to be Marasayan.
That doesn't matter with the real.
No, Marasayan means you just once we answer it, we answer it.
Oh, from that, I got it.
So Yaakov, that case the case with Dash before. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the case with Dash before is a little schwer because if you're talking about a animal that is only going to nurse, that it's only a couple months old, and after a few months, it's not nursing anymore. And at that young an age, its dash is not a dash because it's light and it steps on seeds and doesn't really break them up. It's a little animal. Mashenken after its nurses, after it's weaned, then it's already getting bigger. So then it has the weight and its hoofs are harder. But when it's first nursing, it doesn't sound like you could do dash. From what I see from animals, that they're just too small to make a difference. They walk through the grain and then nothing would happen. I think. Of course, if you had a par that's 500 pounds, 600 pounds, that I could understand. When it walks through, it breaks it up. But a baby.
How long is a calf still on the liquid diet for? It's a couple 100 pounds already. By the time it gets off.
No, maybe 100 pounds at the most. At the most, 100 pounds. When it's
Oh, really?
born, it's maybe 30 pounds, maybe 20, 30 pounds. But
Right.
in a few months, in a few months, it's not nursing anymore. So when we're talking nursing, it's talking when it's still pretty small. It's small enough to get low enough to reach the mother's
Yeah, but
udder.
this dush doesn't have to mean a real dush. It could just be breaking up hay. It's still a malacha. Doesn't mean malachas Shabbos. Malacha means any work you do with it.
It doesn't sound. It doesn't. But like, if you tell me it's not a real dash, then what are we talking about? If it's not a real dash,
Breaking up
then
hay. You have a
breaking up
clump of
hay
hay.
to
you
what?
put
To
down.
breaking up hay to what? To get grass seed?
No, not to get seed. Just to break up the hay. Anything that would be a malacha. Using it as a doorstop. Using it as a doorstop is a malacha. Any malacha, any work that you do with it, puzzles it. It's not nothing to do with malachas Shabbos.
So why does he use lashon dash?
Because that would be a normal thing for it to do. Any trampling of any hooves on hay is going to break up the hay. It could be 30 pounds and still do the job.
All right, that's. I don't see that in real life.
The what?
Oh,
They throw a bale of hay into the cow enclosure. They want the cows to break it up so they can chew it.
Really?
Are you finished, Rabbi? Or are you continuing?
I said I'm finished.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay.
What do you think? Everybody's logging off? I'm saying
I don't
for
know.
no.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
They're waiting for the malava malka for the guys who threw the food on the black b'shai gave you.
Naftali, where you going out to tonight?
Well, right now it's pouring, but I'm supposed to go to Tribeca to my brother.
You're upstate?
I went to the long. You
Supposed to
said
go
you
where?
said I went to Lake Forest, and not Lake View. For Mincha, I thought that's where Gershon was, but I went to the wrong one.
Tribeca is
I went for
a mile from Lakeview. It's very, very chashuv.
Huh?